Morning, everybody. Welcome to Interplas. Isn't it great that it's back? I hope you'll just give me 25 minutes or so to talk to you a little bit about Jaguar Land Rover. So we know something about Jaguar Land Rover, hopefully all of us in the room. We're actually quite a new company, and people don't really realise that. As a company, we were formed as Jaguar Land Rover in 2008. But we know that our heritage itself comes from Jaguar, from the Swallow sidecar back in 1922. And we all know and love and recall the original Huey Land Rover back in 1948. Jaguar Land Rover in the UK economy, we're here to talk about what we require from our plastics industry, but what does JLR give to the UK economy? What about JLR itself? So we are in the UK, we are the number one by volume luxury manufacturer. Last year in the UK, we actually produced the most vehicles in the UK by volume. If you take Nissan's volume in the UK, our volume in the UK, and the other manufacturers, Honda, Toyota, and the other smaller manufacturers, the UK automotive industry is now at the levels of cars manufactured that it was back in the heyday of the 1960s. So the decline in the automotive industry is a bit of a myth, and we're only going to get stronger. But to get stronger, we need your support, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We produce, our growth, of people since 2010, we were 16,000 people in 2010. Since then, we've recruited 24,000 people into the business. So we're now at 40,000 people. That's more than when the Rover Group was split up by BMW. We're now a bigger company. We export from our UK factories 80% of our volume. So we're leading the way for the UK government in exports. And we've done that through investment. £11 billion invested since 2010 in new products. Our UK base, and we're committed to the UK base. We have design and engineering in Gaydon and Whitley. We have the manufacturing sites in Halewood, Solihull, Castle Bromwich. We've also investing in R&D. We're a new facility at the Warwick Manufacturing Group in Warwick University. And we have the engine plant in Wolverhampton that has already expanded twice since we first laid the first foundations. But we're a global company now. Not only do we manufacture in the UK, we have our partnership with Chery and produce vehicles in China. We have our owners, the Tata Group, and we produce vehicles in their Pune facility. We have a facility in Brazil serving the Americas, South America. And recently, we've begun production on a large manufacturing facility in Slovakia. And we are now producing vehicles in partnership with Magna Steyr in Austria. We invest in young people. We invest in skills. You can see the numbers there of what we're trying to do. 800 apprentices, nearly 1,500 graduates. But here lies the first headwind that is hitting all of us. So I'll ask the question, who here believes that we have the skills and the education coming through from the schools and from the universities? Who here believes we've got the right people? Or shall I say, who here believes we have an issue in the plastics industry with the lack of skills coming forward? I'd put my hand up and say, yeah. So we need to address this, and we need to address this not as an individual company, we need to address this as a body. And I'll talk more about this towards the end of the presentation. But our success as JLR, how is that all about? It's got to be about products and great products. I've hinted that already. Sales growth that makes our competitors jealous. So last calendar year, we've gone from, in 2009, just 190,000 vehicles to now 550,000 vehicles. Our business year, 2016 to 2017, 600,000 vehicles. With the introduction of the new products, 1 million vehicles is not a dream, it's a reality. And those vehicles, the Range Rover Velar, hopefully you've all seen the Range Rover Velar. This is the 4th member of the Range Rover brand, and it sets and redefines the standard for the Range Rover. Fantastic car. But that's a traditional vehicle. This is the excitement, and this is the challenge for the future. Electric vehicles. The Jaguar Ipace goes into production at the end of the year. This is our first all-electric vehicle. Very exciting product. I'm sure you'll agree with me, a very attractive looking car as well. But what are our challenges? And this is what I'm really here to talk to you about. So we all know about or I would hope you all know about the environmental challenges that we're under as an automotive group. The challenge on CO2, the challenge on emissions, the challenge on diesel engines. We have to get the emissions out of our cars down. The targets that the governments of the world are putting on the car companies means that we cannot continue to produce cars the way we do now. We have to continue to innovate. We have to continue to meet that challenge and drive that technology forward. So that has led to the electric car, the hybrid car. By 2050, the internal combustion engine will no longer exist as a primary power plant for our vehicles. So we have to move on. One of the biggest drivers to our challenges at the moment is actually our customers. So I'm told, I'm old generation, I'm Generation X, okay? Technology can be a bit new to me. It takes me time to adjust to an iPad. But we've now got to think about Generation Z. These people born in the 21st century, technology to them is second nature. They take information and they use information in ways that we would never have thought of when we were growing up. How they interact with the product, how they use the product is going to change. These young people in that Generation Z, they don't want to own vehicles. They don't want to own products. They want to have a product and hand it over. Have a product and hand it over. So how we provide our vehicles to these people, how we engineer our vehicles, what we put in our vehicles to keep these people engaged very much is changing. So it's all about the connected car and connectivity. You're starting to see that already. You can be in your house on a cold day and you can tell your car to start the HVAC system so it's warm for you when you get into the car in the morning. You can be in the car and it will send you a message to say, you've got this meeting at 12 o'clock and actually the traffic is bad. I'm going to reroute you to make sure you get to your meeting for 12 o'clock. Connectivity like we would never imagine. And I do have to mention Brexit. I'm sure there'll be a lot discussed. I'm not the company expert on Brexit. All I have to say is it's a challenge to every one of us in this room, and we have to acknowledge that challenge. Finally, autonomous vehicles. So I talked about Generation Z. Generation Z, they're not bothered about driving a car. That's why they only want to lease a car. They want to go into a dealership, have that car for 2 days, hand it back, and use other forms of travel that suits them. So those vehicles are actually going to be autonomous. And that poses a lot of questions to the industry, to the automotive industry. And that actually is a big challenge to the plastics industry, because how do we then make our cars that are no longer traditional? We get in the car, we sit behind the steering wheel and we drive it. What do we have in our car interiors that engages the passenger and the owner? So these are all things that are challenging JLR at the moment, and these are all things that actually do spill out to the plastics industry. So how have we reacted to some of these as a business? So you will have seen since 2010, we've actually gone through quite a dramatic downsizing of our vehicles. So the Range Rover, fantastic product, we've introduced Range Rover Evokes, we've introduced the XE and the Discovery Sport. We've introduced our own engines. So we have to develop engines to meet the current legislation. We've taken control of that. We now manufacture our own engines, as I discussed, away from our previous parent companies. And importantly, aluminium has played a big part in our transformation for lightweighting. But we can only go so far with those technologies. We need to go further. Plastics, thermoplastic composites, these are the materials of the future that we all need to be investigating and investing in now. But those activities we've done already have enabled us to hit the 99 grams per kilometre target that was set for us. Unfortunately, those targets are ever changing. In 2020, we've got a big impact. So we've still got lots of work to do. So what about the audience here today? You're here, you're interested in plastics. If I told you plastics make up 20% of our vehicle currently, it's got the biggest potential for growth. Metals has its place. There will still be a use for metal, but plastics and thermoplastics, the need for those, they will only increase on our vehicle. Have we got the technology? Have we got the processes? Have we got the understanding in the UK to be able to offer those solutions now? So we've made some good work as an industry. We've got to catch up quickly with what's happening in Europe, what's happening in the Far East. And we've got to do that together. We can't do it on our own. I'm going to talk about the importance of lightweighting on every gram that counts. Just to give you an example, because it's not just about lightweighting, it's about sustainability, it's the whole value chain. So my colleagues worked with a material supplier from Lincolnshire, and we tried a material on a particular component. We saved 12 grams. And you might say, wow, 12 grams, that's not a lot. But think about it like this. One part, 12 grams actually saved us £1 for that vehicle. Okay? And it saved us, importantly, 59 grams of CO2. Which meant that vehicle, a Range Rover, could travel 300 metres on that saving. Or a jumbo jet could fly for 2 seconds. That's not very impressive, really, is it, when you think about one part? But I don't just make one part. What about the life cycle of the vehicle? Well, for the vehicle, actually, we're talking at 138 grams, which means we can go 700 metres and we've got 5 seconds. Okay. From part to vehicle, we'll start to make a bit of a growth. But think about the number of vehicles we make in a year. And this is just for a Range Rover Evoque. So 120,000 vehicles in a year, that actually saves us 62 tonnes of CO2 from the environment, meeting our environmental commitments. Okay, you can see the distance we can travel, and you can see how many hours a jumbo jet can now fly, just from saving 12 grams. What about the 8 years that the Evoque is in service, or any vehicle is in service for? Then you start to understand that every gram does count. So think about that when you're working with us. You're thinking about shot weights, thinking about designing parts. Every gram counts. Do we need that wall, that thickness? So what do we want from you? And I was looking at this last night, and I put those headings down of what we want from a supplier. But that's a given, isn't it? The UK industry, plastic industry, is fantastic. We've got this. We can be cost effective. We're robust and durable. We work collaboratively. We need to work more collaboratively. We have the technical support in the UK. Some suppliers may rely on European technical support. That's okay, as long as it's there when we need it. That's may be 3 o'clock in the morning next to an injection moulding machine trying to solve an issue so we can still build cars the next day. That's the level of support that we require. And that's the level of support that JLR suppliers give us. But as always, everybody wants more, don't they? Innovative. We're innovative in the UK. In fact, we're so innovative, we invent things and we give it to everybody else to take advantage of. It's time that we, as an automotive industry, kept this in the UK. We need together to be innovative. But we need a global footprint. Suppliers need a global footprint. I've talked about JLR. We're no longer the Warwickshire automotive company. We're now a global player. And we need our supply base to be global players. Brexit now means we've got to be global players. Change is coming. Some of you have already in the room have been affected by this. So JLR have, I would say, being perhaps honest, and my colleagues are going to cringe here, from a plastics point of view, we lost our way under the Ford ownership. We've taken control back of plastics. Change is coming. The business itself, how we design cars, traditionally we may have put packages out to suppliers. Now we're taking a lot more ownership on our own designs. We're going to need to be working with material suppliers, tool manufacturers, the moulders themselves. It's that collaborative network to ensure we start producing the quality of parts that we need to take us forward to meet these growing challenges. We have a material strategy now. JLR now says what plastic goes on its car. We are very much guiding, recommending, and instructing. We need to do that because we manage our quality. We need to give those experiences that our customers value. We have quality in the UK industry. We've got to take it to the next level. We're going to manage that through dictating with the suppliers what our preferred materials are, what our preferred supplier material is, through master batching, colour master batching, and through compounding. Okay? There's going to be a lot more alignment across the business, working closely with purchasing, on how you interact with Jaguar Land Rover from a plastics point of view. I need to tell you this. This is what we need from our supply chain. So the most important thing that I ask of you is that we talk to each other. How many people directly here supply JLR now? Directly or indirectly? How many people talk to JLR on a monthly basis? So a lot of hands dropped there. How many people talk to JLR on a weekly basis? That's good. How many people talk to JLR daily? Good. But I'd say, my message to you is, for this collaboration to work, I have got to go and talk to you. You've got to come and talk to us. The final message I want to leave you before I put on the next slide is, of all the things I put up, of our challenges, there is one common denominator, and it is change. We work in engineering, we can handle change. We deal with change every day. But the single biggest challenge that we face is each other. Our complacency. We cannot afford to let the European plastics industry overtake us. We cannot afford to let them take the lead on technology. We have to provide solutions. We want you to come and talk to us about your solutions. Let's work together. I'm interested in hearing what you've got to say. I'm hoping you're interested to hear what I've got to say. Finally, it's okay me standing there and preaching to you because we've got big challenges and we need your help. But I've been talking, JLR, to the BPF. And we've talked about the skills issue. We've talked about the technology issue. We talked about how we get these technologies into the UK base faster. So we are talking to the BPF about becoming the first OEM to be a member of the British Plastics Federation. But more importantly, we've talked about how do we create a forum for automotive to address these issues together, for OEMs to talk to the supply base. for us to talk to the government together, to the industry, to the powers that be that we need to talk to. So we're going to form, and we're going to trial in the next 2 years, an automotive plastics group. It's going to be cross-chain from the OEM, material suppliers, universities. We're going to look at the whole, from start to finish, the whole circle of supply into recycling. But most importantly, we're going to face up to these issues. We want it to be sharing of these technologies with each other, sharing these issues and resolving these issues. Together, we can take this forward. In 3 years' time, I want to talk about our successes. I want to show you the successes of how we've met those challenges, and we continue to hit JLR's targets. We continue to make the best products in the world with your support. Thank you for your time.